tangent is a slope. Horizontal line means it's equal to 0. So what happened is you're going to take a derivative, right? So you're going to take the y prime is equal to 4x cubed plus 2bx plus 8. And you're going to set it equal to 0. And then you're going to take the double prime. And then it's going to be 12x squared plus 2b. And you had to set it equal to 0. Are we okay here? Because there's a point inflections means f double prime of x equal to 0. This how do I annotate when I do in math is I read each things and I figure out what does that mean in the crew in terms of math. Your guys gonna take SAT soon. Some people is asking me, and Asim is asking me, says, what is the tip for SAT? Trust me, you guys know a lot of material. Just don't make simple mistakes. The easy question is what's same amount as a hard question. And if a hard question you don't know how to do it, you're not gonna learn it in these 2 days. So just focus on the things that you can handle, take care of the things that you can handle, and do very, very good job on it. Don't make simple mistake. So if you don't make simple mistake, the next my advice is make sure you annotate stuff, make sure you underline the keywords, answer those questions. And those are the things that I can give you as a tip for on Wednesday. We want to set those equations equal to each other. So you can probably equal to, you can say, well, so this one's going to be 12x squared plus 2b equal to 0. So what is 2b is equal to 12x squared, right? Well, actually, it's going to be negative. So can I plug this back in here? So it'll be 4x cubed plus 2b. So 2b is going to be negative 12x squared times x plus 8. So it'll be 4x cubed minus 12x cubed plus 8 is equal to 0, right? So that's equal to negative 8x cubed equal to negative 8. X cubed is equal to 1. X equal to 1. Now, if x is equal to 1, so 2b equal to negative 12 times 1 squared. So b is equal to negative 12, and b is equal to negative 6. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Oh, you guys kind of got lucky. Because number 9 is another question that's really good. Number 9 is also a sim trying to explain that question on what's up. But it didn't explain very well, but I didn't fix it because I thought like you try your best to think to explain that. And at least you are, have it, it's brave to try it because sometimes you just need a courage to take care of the problems. And you did that, which is good. But the things like I want you to really explain this question very well is this one's e to the x graph. Limit as x approach to negative infinity of e to the x is equal to what? 0. Because if you go to the left side, it's going to go to 0. Does that make sense? Limit x approach to infinity of e to the x is equal to infinity. With that being said, what is horizontal asymptote? Horizontal asymptote is limit x approach to infinity of f of x equal to L. You're going to say, what is L? Well, also negative infinity. So let's approach to infinity. And some people says mention divided by highest degree on denominator. You can do that. I'm going to divide by e to the x, divided by e to the x, divided by e to the x, divided by e to the x. That's equal to 4 plus 7 over e to the x over 1 plus 1 over e to the x. But if x approach infinity, this part is going to go to 0. So that's equal to 4 over 1. That's equal to 4. Does that make sense? Now, if we reach negative infinity, that's what happened. If I limit x approach to negative infinity of 4e to the x plus 7 over e to the x minus 1. Now, what happened is, if we reach e to the negative infinity, you don't no longer divide it by highest degree on denominator. What happened is you're gonna reach this is equal to this becomes what? 0. So that's equal to 7 over negative 1. That's equal to negative 7. So the answer is equal to D. And that's the best way to look at this question. And that's how you think efficiently. Okay. Very important question for 9 and 7.
Confusing.
What?
That is slightly confusing.
Okay, so that's good. I actually like, instead of you just shaking your head, I got it. I like what Anthony's telling me. He says confusing. Can you tell me what you're confusing about?
I mean, I get you divided everything by e to the x, which now we have 4, yeah. Oh, but 7 over e to the x, that's 0, and 1 over e to the x is 0, right? So you have 4 over 1, so that's how you get the first one, right?
Right.
So how did you get the second one?
Remember the graph, limit x approach to negative infinity of e to the x. So this one's going to reach to negative infinity. E to the negative infinity is going to go 0. 0 times 4 is still 0. But e approaching negative infinity at 7 still 7 if the number doesn't change.
Oh.
And this is a negative 1. Now, there's a difference between Anthony and you guys. Is I don't believe he's the only one that had a question. But I believe he's the only one that willing to ask the question instead of just nodding their head. Just say, I got it, but you actually don't. The problem is, if you don't understand even a little bit, you should ask. You cannot just settle for nodding their head so my teacher doesn't call on me if I nod. Okay? Yes?
Go back to 7. I'm still kind of confused on like what you did there.
7?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember this
No,
graph.
like number 7, not like, because I get that, because I got that right. Well, and then that I'm confused on.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, just make sure you graph, you know how to graph absolute value of x, right?
Yeah.
Because you cannot take derivative of the absolute value of x. There's a way to do it. I never taught you.
Isn't the actual derivative of x or absolute value, isn't it x over absolute value of x?
Something like that, I don't even know. I don't even care.
Yeah.
And that's not a point.
I saw this question, or not this question, I think it was a similar one to this, where it was like absolute value of like x minus 6. So you were trying to find the derivative of it. I looked up like a 10-minute video on how to do it.
But that's so complicated. If you know the graph, you know the slope. Right? If you know the graph, you know the slope. You don't need to know how to take a derivative. Trust me, you don't have enough memorization to memorize how to take a derivative.
I think it was like 3 absolute value of x minus 6, and I was like, I'm not sure how to graph that.
Yeah, that's something I won't touch. It just because I don't even teach it, just because I don't see the importance of it. But I do see student making connection graphically and algebraically. So Jake, do you understand why I choose f of x equal to absolute value x? Because this is a definition of derivative. So this part here represents this part. And this also means f prime of x. So that means f of x equal to absolute value x. And if I take a derivative, they want to say f prime of 3 because they say plug in 3. So that means f prime 3. So that means if I draw out the absolute value x, I can figure out the slope at 3. And that's exactly a 1.
So you're just trying to like draw the graph and then figure out the slope of like the x they give you?
Yeah, because this one's easy to figure out the slope. Yes.
Why are you solving for slope here instead of the y?
I'm looking for slope because because this whole thing is equal to f prime of x. So that means this is f of x. They wanted 3, they want an f prime of 3, which is slope by 3.
I mean, is it still definition of derivative?
This is definition of derivative. Yeah. It's definition of derivative of absolute value when f of x equal to absolute value x. Now this question is almost 80% on AP exam. Please make sure you understand that. Okay.